and welcome to Mental Health Mondays, where we discuss advocacy, resources, and ending the stigma associated with mental health. I'm your host, Amanda, certified peer recovery supporter, and today we are going to be talking about more coping tactics, because you can never have too many coping tactics in your arsenal. And as always, make sure you're checking with your care team that these coping tactics are the right ones for you, because there are certain ones that may trigger trauma if you have body-related trauma. Now, let's get started. So for our first coping tactic, we're going to talk about a wildly popular one that you may have heard. It is the 5-4-3-2-1 method. Now, what exactly is that? This is a great grounding technique in the moment when you are experiencing maybe a little bit of anxiety is coming up, maybe a little bit of panic is coming up, maybe you're experiencing some form of dissociation. This is a great way to bring yourself back to center and ground yourself in the moment. Now, the goal of this coping tactic is to use each 5 steps with the 5 different senses. 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can feel, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This helps center our bodies back into the present moment, and sometimes you can repeat it over and over and over again until you really feel grounded in the moment. You also don't have to use those 5 specific senses with those, specific numbers. You can kind of tailor it in whatever way works for you, especially if you get sensory overload. Maybe it's only 1 specific thing that you can hear rather than more than that. On to the next coping tactic we're going to talk about. Now, this one we're going to talk about is also really great for grounding in the moment. I use this one specifically in the car when I'm driving and I'm having a little bit of like a panic episode. So you pick a color and then you find things in your direct environment that have that color. Now, a way that you can tailor this also, if you want to make it a little bit more complicated for your brain so your brain can work, so that you can bring yourself back to center, is that you can use the colors of the rainbow, Roy G. Biv. Pick each color of Roy G. Biv and find a color in your environment that fits with that color. Now, this one's really great because it can be kind of fun also. Like if you pick red, you can find, a red Kia Sorte, or even, a red clown nose on a billboard. Or if you find blue, that could be anywhere from the sky to a dog's collar. This is just a great way to get your mind back to the present moment and really integrate it in the here and now. The next coping tactic we're going to talk about is the STOP method. The STOP method is really good for if you're feeling a spark of anger or aggression, or if you're really stressed out about a certain event, like maybe a job interview, or you're in a confrontation with another individual. This STOP can be really effective, especially if you work in something like retail. This one is proven to be really effective to kind of catch your thoughts in the moment, reorient them, take a step back, and really think about what's going on internally. So the STOP method goes as follows. It's an acronym, S.T.O.P. So the S stands for stop. Stop, pause in the moment, and just stop yourself. T stands for take a breath. Take a deep breath, become mindful, just take a minute to relax yourself. And don't forget about last week when we talked about breathing techniques, so you can go back and check those out to help you with this specific coping tactic. O stands for observe. Observe your thoughts, observe your body, observe what's going on in the environment. Just really observe and check in with yourself and how you're feeling and how you want to react in the moment versus what would be appropriate. Now, when you feel like you have a more regulated state, the P stands for proceed. So you can keep repeating the STO until you get to a comfortable place where the proceed is the right step for you. So sometimes just taking a step back, analyzing how we're feeling in the moment, and really assessing that and changing our behavior is really, really helpful in the moment. So we can meet another person where they're at and be the best versions of ourselves. So this last one is specifically helpful if you're in the middle of a panic attack or an anxiety attack and you really feel like your entire world is crumbling down. I know that I've been there. I know that some of you have probably been there. So this is a great one because it does help reset your central nervous system and trigger the vagus nerve that we were talking about previously. And this coping skill is known as temperature change. Specifically for me, I like to take a frozen ice pack from the freezer and stick it directly on my chest. And by doing that, it really helps bring your attention back to the center and really helps your body ground in the moment physiologically. It doesn't need to specifically be any type of ice pack. It could be a bag of frozen broccoli or frozen fruit or whatever you have. And it doesn't necessarily have to be on your chest. It could be on the back of your neck, which is really helpful for me. It could be on your forehead, on your face. Also, if you're out in public, I like to go into a public bathroom and get the water as cold as I can and just splash it on my face. That's really, really helpful. Things like that can be really, really beneficial and snap your body back into the present moment. I would shy away from using extremely hot water because then you can burn yourself, and that's really, really dangerous. So I personally like to use extremely cold water because it's a lot safer. As always, make sure before doing any of these coping tactics that you are checking in with your care team, checking in with yourself, and making sure that these are the right ones for you and that you're doing the best for yourself in your recovery journey. Hopefully these tips and tricks will help you along the way. I know sometimes in the moment when you're kind of like freaking out or having a panic attack or having an anxiety attack, it can be really, really hard to remember some of these. So my homework for you is to write them down. That way you always have them on hand and you always know that you can flip it out whenever you need it and read a coping tactic that will be helpful for you. And you can also practice, 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 because practice is a great way to have these coping tactics as muscle memory, so the next time your body is just inclined to help you do it. And you can join us next week for many more coping tactics to come, and we will see you then. Bye.